Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. I recently purchased a Seiko Silverwave watch. This brilliant piece with a black dial. And I purchased this because I really enjoyed my Citizen watch. This guy right here, and I thought it would be great to have a black dial alternative to this. Tonight we're going to look at these watches side by side and kind of do a comparison of them. So let us begin. So here are both of the pieces side by side, and as you can see, these are quartz watches, so that is a bit divisive, but for me they're kind of pick up and go watches, so I kind of appreciate that. They're kind of low maintenance. The only thing I have to do is change the battery when that dies, and I will do that myself, so it won't be terribly expensive. And I don't have to take it in anywhere. So to me, it doesn't really bother me. But you'll notice when you see them side by side, the Seiko appears to be larger than the Citizen. However, these watches are the same size. To illustrate that, I'll get out my marathon calipers. In this case measures 34 millimeters. In this case also measures 34 millimeters. And that's pretty crazy considering the fact that the Citizen has a light dial and you would think that it would appear larger, but it does not. That is so crazy. When I first got the Seiko, I had to measure it because in the listing, it gave its case size, but it looked so large I thought for sure it was a 36 millimeter, but it is not. Looking at the Citizen alone, we have some great texture on the dial there. The indices and hands are brilliant. I love those tapered hands, the hour and minute hands. That is so cool. And the seconds hand hits the markers every time. Every single time. It doesn't wander at all. And in certain lights, you really notice what that polished rehot does for the appearance of this watch. It really makes the whole piece sparkle. Even though it has a brushed case, it kind of makes it look more dressy. It's a really great touch. There's some guards around the crown here. This is not a screwed down crown. And the case is a little bit rounded where it meets the bracelet there. It's not a stark edge here. This watch is in really great shape. This is a vintage piece that I found on eBay for an absolutely reasonable price. I think it was $100 and some. The Seiko was also. This bracelet is amazing looking. And what's really cool about it is it almost operates like a Milanese strap in that you have this car here that slides up and down it. You need to use a pin or something to pry this piece open. Then you could adjust it as needed and fasten it by pressing down on this. So you can really get that dialed in. And because this tucks underneath the clasp, there's no overhang or anything. And it's flexible enough to where it form fits to your wrist. It even has a safety fold over here. So when you put this in here, you can fold this over and it's doubly secured. This clasp alone definitely elevates this watch over the Seiko. This is just phenomenal. I mean, look at how that curves. It doesn't stick out. This doesn't kind of force it to hang out over here. Just absolutely brilliant. Great work by Citizen. And I just can't get over that amazing texture on the dial. The polished bezel is great and kind of dresses it up a bit. And being a light dial, if you get small scratches on the crystal, because I believe this is mineral, you won't really notice those quite as much as on a dark dial. The Seiko has more of a standard clasp, and look at how large this fold-over piece is. It's just gigantic. It has a decent amount of micro adjustments though. If you caught my earlier videos on this watch, I took this in to my watch guy at the mall and had him shift this bracelet around because at the time I didn't know how to pull out these pins. I will be doing a future video on how to do that because I've since learned myself, which is good. Because when I got this watch back from him, this piece here would stick out like this. So on your wrist, there's this huge square area there where this is forcing it out. So I shifted it back just one link, and that has helped quite a bit. The indices on this watch are great. I love those hands, and the white colored seconds hand is amazing. I love the aesthetic of white painted hands. Although I do wish this was a two-hander, and at one point I actually took the case back off to do that. However, I could not for the life of me figure out how to remove the crown. I got online and did a bunch of searching, but I couldn't find anything on the particular movement that's in this. Usually when you're looking at a watch movement, there'll be a little dot and even a friendly arrow pointing toward it, and sometimes it'll actually have the word push on there as well. However, this movement didn't have anything like that near the crown. There was a couple areas that looked suspect, and I pushed on those with a pin, but it didn't do anything, and I didn't want to apply any more pressure than I had to. So I kind of gave up and decided to keep it a three-hander. I love the kanji text on the day wheel there, and so I leave it on that. And I really love the red for Sunday, I think it is, and blue for Saturday. I could be wrong there, but I love the touch of color on those days. Like right now, that just looks so cool. The chrome on the hour markers is just brilliant. And I feel like when it's on the wrist, this is very PRX looking. However, I prefer day dates to simple dates, and I like how subtle this is. With the black background on the wheels and no frame, you almost don't even notice that. It just kind of blends in with the design, so perfect. There's a sharper angle right here where it comes down to meet the bracelet. And this bracelet is great looking too, just like the Citizen. However, I wish it had a clasp more like the Citizen's. That one just works so much better than this one. And it likes to stick out right here. So it's kind of weird looking down at your wrist and you just see this clasp sticking way out like that. But nevertheless, I'm glad I bought this watch and I wear it quite a bit. And what's really interesting is this is a screwed down crown too. That's pretty wild. But yeah, I feel like these are great alternatives if you like the aesthetic of watches like the PRX, but you don't want to pay the price, or for whatever reason you're just not a fan of that specific watch. If you hunt, you can find pieces like this. I believe they're from the 80s, but they have kind of the 70s aesthetic there. And they're just absolutely brilliant. So there you have it, two affordable and brilliant 1970s style kind of faux PRX watches. They're both pretty brilliant. However, I have to say the Citizen is just a little bit better, mainly with its strap and the clasp that's on it. And of course that dial is brilliant too. But I love both of them and they each get plenty of wrist time. Thanks for watching.